Hello, everybody. My name is Badrinarayan and I'm from Bangalore in India. And I've been playing chess on chess.com for the last 8 years. Recently, I started sharing my journey on YouTube, basically documenting my games, adding commentary on my games, something like why I made a particular move, why the opponent might have made a particular move, and so on. And in this video, I have the second chapter for the Rook, as can be seen from the name of the collection. It's a series set of games in which I sacrifice my rook either to deliver a very quick checkmate or to get a tactical advantage. And these are not very high accuracy games. I am at around 87, 80 to 90. It's basically less than 90, but more than 80. So not very high accuracy games. And in fact, there's a blitz game with an accuracy of around 68. But I wanted to show these games just to show those rook sacrifices. Sorry about that. Had to disconnect an alarm. Anyway, let's just jump into the games and we'll start with this one. Here, the opponent started with the ready. And in this game, yeah, you can see the brilliant move here, which was the rook sacrifice. But in this game, it was not a very big tactic. It was not like a very powerful tactic and all that. It was a simple exchange exchange game, quiet game kind of. So let's just start the review. The ready is something that I have struggled with in the past, but recently I watched a lot of videos and I will say I have a good system against it now. But in this game, they immediately broke with c4, and as a result, the game transposed into an English opening. And this is why I moved away from one of the key ideas, which is to let's say I think I might yes, let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay. One of the key ideas in Reti is actually to place this bishop here. Obviously, it puts pressure on this knight. But more importantly, the Reti is one of the systems against which you can actually trade this bishop for this knight. And especially if you can do that and you can force the this pawn to stay on e4 and maintain the c6 d7 pawns, it actually becomes a good system because this particular bishop is completely taken out of the equation. This particular bishop stares into a lot of holes. This pawn, this pawn, and that is White is going to really struggle to bring this bishop into a meaningful position, and that's one of the key ideas against the Reti. However, because it got transposed into an English, that's why we have this small pyramid system. I don't even think we can call this as a slab, even though we have the pyramid. Anyway, let's continue with the game analysis and let's see. These were just normal moves. Um, Although I do think that I put the queen in a quite a bad square, and but the opponent didn't take the advantage of that. These are very high level ideas how to take advantage of this misplaced queen and all that. But we continue with the game, and he started putting the queen and the bishop on that long diagonal. And here, this is where I saw it. And like I said, it was not a very powerful, mm, very out of the world tactic or something like that. All I saw was that I can give up my rook to get two minor pieces. But the follow up seems to be even more crazy. Apparently, like, okay, why is this arrow? Come on, man, what is this? Sorry about that. Anyway, in the follow up, what happens is like even though we give up first of all we give up the rook to get two minor pieces, and in fact, if you consider that this bishop is not very placed in a very good way, it can actually consider it as two and a half pieces. That's why the eval is also showing minus 2.35. But I move to nc5, and apparently we are supposed to chase this rook. And yeah, I don't understand the sequence fully. I don't understand why this rook needs to go to f4 and not something like moving back to safety here. Um, it's still showing a minus 2.7 for me, but I don't see the advantage. If you are able to see it, please let me know in the comments. But anyway, all I tried to do was get two pieces for this rook, and for some reason the opponent just resigned. That's the first game. Let's move on to the next one. But this one was long game, and I was really happy that I found the right moves in this. Although I did make some mistakes along the way. Let's review the game together. So we are going. I mean, we are playing white, and obviously we go with the Catalan, and the Catalan system is completed, and this seems to be something called as a Queen's Indian defense. I have not even heard of it before. I only know about the King's Indian defense. But the King's Indian defense, obviously, this bishop will be in this square. This bishop will be in this square, looking at this long diagonal. In this case, they have put this here, which is called as the Queen's Indian defense. I am not aware much of it. I'll just move forward with the game. We had some trades. We got some good. We got a very close position here, and I think from this point on, somewhere I started making my mistake. Let's see. So this was a normal follow where I opened up this file for this rook, and also I am clearing out the pawns so that I can get one of these bishops to occupy that outpost. And first I grabbed this one. I knew that he would clear it out very quickly with this bishop, I guess. Yep, that is exactly what happened. The outpost got cleared, and he has the outpost, which I was not happy about, but I still continued. And yeah, here is where the mistake happened. This was a mistake because after this check, this pawn is taken back, and queen jumps here. The queen has infiltrated our last rank, and I covered this with the bishop, and the evaluation jumped to minus 3.7 in the opponent's favor. However, the opponent got greedy. Here, the opponent should have just picked up this pawn and given this check. Oh, sorry, and threatened this basically. But I think the opponent thought there's a checkmating attack here, and they didn't spend enough time. Yeah, they spent only like 20 seconds and went with this move. This meant I was able to capture that knight back, and I was only a pawn down. But still, being a pawn down at this stage of the game is definitely a huge disadvantage. And then the bishop occupied this sweet spot. I really don't see why this is a mistake. They say that black is no longer having a winning position, and the eval also is showing just minus 1.3. But I do believe that the position is much stronger than what the eval is suggesting. This bishop with this unshakable outpost is a powerful. It's like a powerful wall in our territory, and very soon these rooks are going to come out and hit us. And I was really nervous about the game at this point. But I continued. I mean, I was not about to resign in a 15-minute game at this stage. Queen went there, and I would have been really happy to come here. But the bishop is controlling that square. So I did the next best thing and got the rook to f1. The queen went there, and this was a risk, but thankfully it paid off. And yeah, I think this is a mistake. At this point, I mean, the material advantage is +1, which is why I guess they didn't want to trade it. But I believe that they should have done it. And the only reason, once again, why I believe that is because of this bishop. This is a very powerful outpost, and by virtue of this alone, they should have traded out my most powerful piece and continued with the game. They didn't do that, which helped me. I got and finally I put this bishop here. This move was actually suggested way back here. Oh, where is it? TF2. Yeah. Move number 28 itself, the engine wanted me to take this outpost. I finally did it only at move number 39. And this became very good for us because now that rook got forced out of the square. Ideally, he should have taken one step forward and stayed in that fight. Thankfully, he did. And now I saw the one and only minor advantage I had in this game, which is the fact that these two rooks are heavily out of position. These two rooks are not going to get into the action for the foreseeable future. They don't have an open file. They don't have a way to get into that open file very soon. And that was the only minor advantage I could get for myself in this game. I doubled my rook in a closed file, which is not a good idea. And he made c6. At this point, I spent 4 minutes for this move. And the only reason I spent 4 minutes is because I never expected the move that they actually made. I considered a lot of things. I was going to go g4, and my first thought was, yeah, they are not going to take off that pawn. That is just not going to happen. Which meant that I had to see like what they had to move. I thought maybe they would go here, finally open up this rook, and then double the rooks there if needed, and all that. Then maybe I thought maybe they will do something with their queen. But really, I never expected that they would chop it. This is considered as a mistake, but in my opinion, this is a blunder. The immediate cause is that this isolates a pawn, which is a weakness. But more importantly, he just opened up a file to me in which I have both my rook. I mean, opening up a file with single rook itself is atrocious, and this is just way too bad. That's what I would say about this move. But yeah, I just took it back with the rook immediately, and here they made the blunder, QC2, and immediately I knew I was in the driver's seat, and I spent a lot of time thinking of my next move. The obvious first move I thought about was this, threatening this checkmate, but that checkmate can be easily covered with either of these rook. Then maybe I thought bringing this here and then this here and putting all the 19 points of material to this. But the problem with both of the moves which I mentioned right now is that it gives the initiative right back to black because it's not a check. Black will immediately put the queen here, get the bishop out of the way, get this rook down, and it's going to be very difficult to defend this position. So I discarded those two moves. And then I finally saw it. After around 3 minutes, I finally saw this, sacrificing the rook. But I wanted to get the follow perfectly, and I sat and analyzed very clearly. The immediate first move that I thought was rook takes pawn, queen takes pawn, and queen comes here. Queen comes here, taking away a lot of critical squares for this rook, and I was really happy about that. The problem with this sequence was this one. Unfortunately, this bishop controlling this square became a very big bottleneck in all those ideas because my rook can never come here, which means that I would have to spend two moves to bring this rook to this file, and and by that time, once again, the queen will start taking the advantage here. And after around 4 minutes, I finally saw the sequence. The eval clearly shows m6, and it's m6 only if you make one move, and that is to sacrifice the rook, take the pawn, and the king has no choice but to accept the sacrifice. King into g7 is forced, and I bring this rook here. Initially, I analyzed this, and I thought that maybe he'll come back, and I cannot sacrifice the rook for the queen because even though I get a queen, the opponent still has two rooks. But then after this, I I made the killer move, queen f6 check. With this check, the opponent didn't stand a chance. There was no chance for the opponent. Queen cannot take it because queen is pinned. King cannot take it because the pawn is defending the queen. And so he had no choice but to go back, give up the queen fully. King comes upstairs, and it's checkmate. I was really happy I found this sequence at the right time. In fact, if you see, like, I think I spent 5 minutes here, right? Yeah. Yes, 6:39. And when I made the actual move, it was 129, which means I spent 5 minutes and 20 seconds on this move. And I won the game, which I was happy about. The third one is another rapid game. Only this time we are going with just 10 minutes. And in this game, once again, I went with the Catalan. But by move 6, we are moving away from the book. This is not a good setup for the Catalan, apparently, because they don't want, because the engine is not suggesting this at all. But I was really okay with this. And once again, let's just skip ahead. These were some normal moves. Once again, I ensured that this bishop is not going to come here and pressure this knight by moving this pawn. At the same time, I have this bishop on the long diagonal. And yeah, I have already mentioned in my previous videos, a very big key idea in the Catalan is to break with e4. And here we just traded our pieces. This was where I made the blunder. Rook g4 is a blunder because after pawn jumps here, there is no escape for the rook. Uh, this is covered, and this is covered by the bishop. And if I go here again, sorry, not this one, this one. Once again, the bishop comes in, and I have no choice but to give up the rook. The only uncovered square here is this one. But even if I do go there, the eval only gets worse because king jumps here. And then I have to. In fact, this is worse, right? Can I even? Oh, Rx d7 plus kx d7. I mean, I'm giving up a full rook here, which is way worse, obviously. Okay, I think he sees like rook takes g7, king takes g7, pawn comes here and gives a check, and maybe we do something. But in reality, we just through the game here. But unfortunately, the opponent missed it. The opponent missed the only good move in this here, and yeah, they moved this very quickly. This okay. Anyway, and once again, not only did they miss the chance to get a rook, they actually gave up a pawn, and I got a pawn. I got a plus one advantage, and that should have been the end of it. Unfortunately, the opponent made a major blunder. And once again, initially I didn't see it. I was just looking at this one, thinking that I can take back with the rook if the queen takes. But the problem is, if I do that, I lose the queen as well. And it's not like I can ignore as well, because queen jumps here. After queen jumps here, queen is hitting this rook. So at the same time, I wasn't. At the same time, this bishop can't move away because against this bishop will kill this rook. But after some time, I saw it, and as you can see, the evaluation is once again m2, and it's m2 only if we sacrifice the rook. R into g7, check is given. The only option is to take the rook, and after king takes rook, queen takes. Sorry, the bishop takes rook. Sorry, that's the reason why it was not wrong. Bishop takes rook. The only move left is to take this with it and give the checkmate. And once again, we won the game through a rook sacrifice, and I was happy I found it at the right time. The last one, it's a blitz game, and as I mentioned before, the accuracy went down heavily here. Let's go ahead. Once again, I'm going with the Catalan, and let's see. Um, this move is considered a mistake, but I really don't see the mistake here. Our major weakness right now is this double pawn, and here I am finding a way to clear it out. If pawn takes, and the double pawn is gone. And if they don't take with the pawn, then we have taken this bishop out of the game. And that's why I made this move, and I really do stand by this dish. Not sure why this is considered as a mistake. Let's continue. Pawn takes, and I created the pawn chain finally. And yeah, this at this point I was definitely feeling good about the game. This is a great move, but at that point I didn't realize what the greatness of that move. And here I had a massive attack. The massive attack is to push this pawn, hit this knight, and this knight doesn't have any good square. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the obviously the only square to which the knight can go, and at which point I can take this pawn. And let me tell you, I completely didn't see it. Uh, I mean, moving the pawns in front of the castle king is generally not a move which people which is considered good, and that's the reason why I wasn't even looking at the pawns. But I made a normal move, bringing this bishop here. He brought the bishop to support the pawn, and I went back. Yeah, in this blitz game. There are a lot of such moves, inaccuracies, mistakes, and everything, and that's a miss because I could have won the pawn here. Apparently, what's the what's the best move? I don't have a clue. I really don't have a clue here. And this video is already long, so I don't really want to go fully into those tactics and all that. Anyway, we went with e5 and he moved the rook away. I think this was even when I was playing, I thought, okay, this is not the right idea to give up a file like that very easily. Anyway, pawn takes, the rook got an open file. I immediately placed it in the seventh rank. Bishop goes back. I place the rook in front of the bishop and get my other rook. Now here, a queen and two knights are surrounding the king, but I was supremely unconcerned about it. I knew that there was no, what can I say? I knew that there was not a very big tactic here. One of the things is that if your king is surrounded by pieces and the opponent is attacking you, the opponent needs to have two additional attackers. Here we have three defenders. The opponent needs to have five attackers for a successful tactic. Now, I'm not saying that without five attackers there will never be a tactic, but generally that is considered as the formula for such positions where the king is surrounded by the pieces. And in this case, I knew that I didn't have any much to worry about in this, even though the king is staring at a lot of pieces. So I continued with my plan. Knight takes bishop, pawn takes knight, and after the queen came there, I got both my rooks into the seventh rank. I was definitely feeling pretty good about this. This is considered as an unfortunate error, but in my opinion, it was a necessary move at that time because to ensure that this rook is not going to the last rank easily. And I only saw one sequence here, and the sequence was sacrifice this rook for the bishop and get the queen into the game. And the only problem was this pawn is supported by this queen. So my first move was to push the queen away. This is considered as a mistake, and which sorry, this is considered as a mistake because the queen can take this pawn, but I was ready to give up that pawn because my big advantage, or what can I say, my big uh, argument for this move is that after queen takes this pawn, he doesn't have any checks in the near future. This knight, this knight cannot come here. I mean, in fact, the knight is there to protect these two squares, and queen cannot go here because the knight is covering them. So that's the reason why I was ready to give up that pawn, capture that pawn, gave him a +1 advantage, and then I sacrificed the rook. In this game, it is considered as a mistake. There is no brilliant move here apparently, but it's a mistake only if they don't take it back. They were supposed to march this pawn forward, open up this, uh, put this pawn forward, take this, and try to put pressure here. That is the ideal sequence here apparently. And I guess he thought that he would first clear out this rook and then go for the tactic. But unfortunately, there was no time to do it after that because queen comes here, and the queen cannot go here. The big move sorry, the queen cannot go here. The big move was to bring the queen here. No one can stop the queen from coming there, and that was the reason why I really considered this move. I considered this sacrifice, and as you can see, even the eval says m9, but it's m9 only if the opponent keeps sacrificing their pieces. There is no way that opponent survives 9 moves in this situation. In reality, yeah, let's let it complete. Yeah. In reality, it was just an M2 because this is what a normal human would make. I went in there and once again in my next move I have two checkmates. One is this, followed by this, and the other one is going directly here. There was no way for the opponent to stop both of them. You bring the rook upstairs, I'm just going to chop it off. You bring this rook upstairs, I'm again going to just chop it off. If you try to defend this pawn with this knight, I'm just going to take over here and finish the game there itself. And that was the whole reason why I sacrificed the rook. However, it seems that the opponent had a better move all along, which they missed. And but still, I was happy I found this particular sequence. So yeah, that concludes my second chapter on the rook. Um, Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you liked about this, and more importantly, let me know what all you didn't like about this video. Thank you for watching.